Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me once again. I am happy that you clicked on this video. So let's go ahead and get into this book review. The book is called The Light Always Breaks by Angela Jackson Brown. And this is the cover of the book. I thought that was a very interesting cover. It definitely made me want to pick it up and see what this book is about. I love the coloring. I love the graphics. They did a beautiful job. Okay, so let's get into it. This book is centered around Eva Cordon. Eva was raised by her sister Frederick and her husband Pearson after their mother passed away during her, I do believe, teen years. Eva and Frederick were descendants of a long line of strong, wise, and influential women. They are Black Creole and were ingrained to be proud of who they were and not just because of their lighter complexion and hair texture. The sisters are also fluent in French and Latin. This story is set in the 1940s. Eva has built a restaurant in Washington, D.C. that has Southern cuisine. It was rare for a female to have a business at her age, and especially for a woman of color. The private party Eva threw for New Year's Eve set off a chain of events she hadn't predicted. Eva knew there would be controversy due to the party being integrated and there being political and high society influential people attending. Frederick had her reservations about this party and expressed them to Eva. Eva felt she wanted to be like her mother and throw a party where the working class and influential people of all races could gather, mingle, and network. This would be great for business and furthering the African American causes for progress. Eva knew there were hazards to this, but believed she would be doing something to bring about change. Well, this party brought about change, alright, and you will have to read the book to find out just how so. The other main character is Courtland, and Courtland is a Caucasian wealthy senator on the rise. Courtland is getting pressure from his father, Knapp, to find a wife and run for higher political office. Courtland is acquainted with Adam, an African American, and he is connected to the African American community by this association. Adam brought Courtland to a meeting with African American community members to talk about what is going on politically and in the community and how Courtland can be an asset and advocate for change. Well, you'll have to read the book to find out how that went, okay? It got hot and heavy, alright? I'm just going to say that. Courtland has met Eva because the meeting previously mentioned was held at her restaurant, okay? So, Courtland kind of is quite taken with her. So much so, he begins to frequent her restaurant and interact with Eva despite the climate of the time period. And this interaction being frowned upon even in the North during that time period. Courtland and Eva begin a courtship of sorts, kind of, sort of. Knapp is not at all accepting of Courtland's dalliances with Eva and does his best to dissuade any further progression of this situation. And you will have to read the book to find out how that unfolds. Eva feels the pull to be involved with the movement for justice and equality of her people. This is still in a time period where there is heightened racial tension, lynching, set-ins, and civil unrest. But sidebar, has that ever really gone away? I think on some levels there has been and will always be a movement to some degree regarding this. Like, I don't know if it will ever go away. I think the severity and the intensity often heightens, then wanes, and then heightens, then wanes. But anyway, I digress. Pearson and Frederick are very connected about Eva becoming visibly involved with the movement and interaction with Cortland. They are scared for her well-being, and rightfully so. So when things start to happen, it's not good, and they are fearful for Eva and express that. And so Eva and Cortland are caught between her family, community, and forming affection for each other. Eva's restaurant is attacked. Yeah, it's attacked. And there is an attempt to frame a young man for a crime he didn't commit. There is stalking of law enforcement. There is a racial tension. A parental decision that will tug at your heart are all wrapped up into the story. This story will touch your feelings one way or another. Okay. The author does an excellent job writing this woven story. There is rich history combined with compassion, love, and loss. And you will get swept up into this story because I know I did. This is classified as a romance. I listened to the audiobook, and the narrator draws you in and relays a captivating story. The audiobook is like 12 and a half hours long. Those of you that like historical fiction, I mean, this gives you a touch of that because of the time period, and some of the political things that are mentioned. Those of you looking for a tragic love story, this is it. I won't tell you what the tragic parts are. You're going to have to read the book to find that out. But there are some parts that are going to tug at your heartstrings, okay? I do wonder if there will be a sequel. I wonder. I think there's room for a sequel. I did not check to find out if one has been written or in the works of being written. I will just say I think the author could definitely get another book out of this story. I would be interested in reading what happens next in the lives of these characters. I think the author did a great job of getting you connected to the characters, kind of invested in the characters. So I think there is a good possibility that this story could go for another book, if the author so chooses to. We have to wait and see. You never know with these books. You never know. We think there should be another book, then sometimes there's not. When I was writing out what I was going to say about this book, because if you haven't noticed by now, I write out what I'm going to say because I want you to have a clear depiction of the book. And if I don't write it out, I will be ping-ponging here, there, everywhere, and you're going to possibly be confused by the end of it because I will be all over the place with the book. And so yes, I do write them out ahead of time. And so I'm sure you have noticed that it looks like I'm reading. Yes, I am reading. These are my words. These are my thoughts about the book. But to have them in an orderly fashion, I write them out and then relay it to you. And I do ad-lib here and there. I give you a little extra. But the foundation of telling you about the book, yes, I write that out because, yeah, you know, that's just how I do it. So, I didn't know that, well, yes, I didn't know that there were discussion questions in the physical copy of the book while I was writing out what I would say. And then afterwards, I looked, I was like, oh yes, there are topics of discussion in the back of the book. But I was like, okay, I've already written out my topics of discussion, and I'm not going to let that go to waste, okay? There are topics of discussion in the back of the book. I did not read them. I just noticed that they were there. So if my topics of discussion are similar to what is in the back of the book, that is coincidental, I suppose. So some topics of discussion, in addition to what's in the book, are interracial relationships during this time period and the similarities or differences of today's interracial relationship climate. A discussion on how family and community connect and support or not support one another. The topic of racial and political acts of that time period and how it affected individuals and the country. A conversation on adoption and how it affects all those involved. Converse about how you can become involved politically or for positive causes in your community. You can talk about the influences parents have on their children and when to cut the cord. Like when to stop being the dictator and allow them to become their own person on their own merit. And the topic of business ownership, pros, cons, do's, don'ts. And so those are just some additional conversation topics that you can have. The only triggers that I can think of to mention is the racially motivated actions and commentary on Eva and Cortland's interaction. There is death mentioned, but not in detail. And there is commentary about religion as well. Eva and Frederick were raised Catholic, I do believe. Frederick's husband, Pearson, is a pastor at a church that is not Catholic. I think the climate of the times in this book and the description of racially prompted behavior and commentary could trigger some things. I did give this book a 10 out of 10. So if you've read the book, let me know your thoughts. If you haven't read the book, I suggest doing so. It is a good book. It's a good story. It will definitely give you some emotions. And I hope there is a sequel, but we'll just have to wait and see. Comment your thoughts. Let me know what you think about the book. And if you have not done so, which I don't know what you're waiting for, but go ahead and click that subscribe button. Hit that share and like button. Tell your friends to come on over and meander through all of these videos. We are creeping up on 100 videos, y'all. It's getting real close. I don't know if I want to do just like a video bomb and post a whole bunch of videos before the end of the year to get to 100 by the end of the year, because we are like seriously really close to having 100 videos on here, and we are seriously close to having 4,000 views. So I got a little over a month to decide, or less than a month, well, about a month, a month to decide and make videos and just flood you with those real quick. So that we can make that 100 before the end of the year is over. And I'm confident that we will reach 4,000 views before the end of the year. I'm so confident about that because it is all because of you guys. And so I thank you for your support. I thank you for your views. I thank you for your comments, your likes, your shares. So until next time, keep turning the pages, my book lovers.